of 23 and 24. So I couldn't come live yesterday. I couldn't stream yesterday because I was quite unwell. So that's why I couldn't do it yesterday. But we'll be discussing 23 and 24 news paper analysis today itself in a day sitting. And yes, so we're going to start with 23 and yesterday's news. At first I thought of skipping yesterday's news and just solely focusing on today. But yesterday we have to discuss because most importantly, our winter session in a parliament, we had a winter session. And just please take a note that we have almost 11 bills being passed in our winter session, and that is very important, and we have to look into it. First one is that repealing of the farm bills. The government, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, did promise the farmers that he will be repealing it in the winter session. So this happened essentially yesterday, that they'll be repealing all the laws, and then the dam safety bills and assistant reproductive technology bill and surrogacy regulation bill. So these bills are basically for having registration that for IVF clinics, for these IVF clinics and fertility clinics. So we have a lot of fertility and IVF such clinics here in India. So, there's no special regulation or registrations for these clinics. Like anyone could start it, and I'm not sure it's a good thing or a bad thing, but the union government has brought in that like people who are other than the heterogeneous couples, that is gays, lesbians, single parent, foreigners, they're having much more restrictions to do IVF, and they can't do surrogacy, it seems. So I'm not sure whether it's right or wrong in for the union government's part. I'm no one to judge, but I think there shouldn't be much restrictions. I mean, to have a child is one's own desire. Yes, so we'll leave that all. Then we have National Institute of Pharmaceutical Education Bill, Appropriation Bill, High Court Bill, and all these bills were related to it. And in the end, we have election laws. So this was also in news for the past few days. That is linking your Aadhaar to voters' ID. So we know that there were lots of controversial issues, and most importantly, how the opposition was against it, and everyone was practically against it. So yeah, we just collect the news regarding that because that's very much important, especially for the ones who are appearing for 2022 your prelims. These questions, just expect that. So much of questions, I mean, so much of bills were passed in the parliament in the winter session. So that's why I was, I thought of taking 23rd newspaper first and then getting on to the 24th. So that's it for the front page, and the others are local regional news. And then I have a half a page of advertisement of Tamil Nadu government chief minister. Okay, and then like always, skip other news related to your city based, your regional based news. Just skip all that because that is not needed. Just watch TV news, that is much more enough. And then we have our editorials. Read through it because that's important. The format, everything. Just do not just look into the content only. Look into the format also. Okay. The first snippets that I'm discussing about warning bells. This is regarding the Omicron we're having, and it's actually a looming danger we're having right now. So we don't know it's gonna be a third wave or something else. Something. Yeah, we're having what of discussion that Omicron isn't that potent or a threat. So we don't know, but it seems that it's not that contagious as, I mean, it is contagious, but it doesn't bring out much severe symptoms in the patients. But we don't know for sure because it takes series of time to assess and understand whether this is a threat to a nation or not. So yes, so these things are there. It's backdrop. It's back in our head. So we are saying is that the health infrastructure. This is a time for you to make necessary arrangements, make the beds right. For the Delta variant, before the Delta variant, the state governments and the central governments, most people they forgot or they actually felt that we don't need now. It's getting better, and they didn't procure the oxygen cylinders enough. And what happened? All of a sudden, the Delta variant it came like an outburst, like a dam breaking open, and everyone died because of why? Because they didn't get enough oxygen cylinders. And this is a very unfortunate incident because we could have saved them, but we couldn't save them because of the health infrastructure not being very proper and organized. So we are asking the government, we are asking all the private hospitals and everyone to take necessary arrangements right now itself so that we won't fall back if this comes to be a third phase or a third wave. Yes, so that was it. Now, as regional leaders, not a victim of circumstances, this is about that we have to take stand on our bilateral relations with the other countries. Uh, First one was the Afghan, that we have already expressed our discontent, or we have already expressed how much of disappointed that we are regarding the Taliban takeover for the Afghan issue. Yeah, we already expressed in a public and in a very international medium that we are not happy with the Afghan takeover, with the Taliban takeover. But there is lots of human rights crisis right now happening, that they need help from the other countries in terms of medicine, food, shelter, and clothing. Lot many things they need that from the outside nation, outside country. So we must decide what is our stand, what is that we should be doing. We should just keep those things aside and help them, or do something else. And then next thing is about China. So, Chinese aggression, it's not something that we are having, to do on the past few days. It's something that we're doing in a daily basis for the past so many years. So, what to do about it? How to do about it? Their intrusion, and most importantly, their claim on the Arunachal Pradesh. And this is not the only things. We have lots and lots of issues with China, and even our government saying that okay, we're gonna ban all the apps of Chinese origin, and it's a two-way game. So what is our stand on it? We should make a concrete solution. What is that we should go forward? How is our relationship with them going about? So just make a stand and decide what we want it ourselves. So that is being asked over here. And the next one snippet again is troubled waters. Okay, so this is regarding our bilateral relations with Sri Lanka. I think I've taken in the past few days about our. Okay, suppose this is our India. Okay, that will come out right. Oh, it's a bit hard to draw in a magic slate. It's not like drawing on paper. Here it's very hard. Okay, it's not coming how I intended it to be. Okay, so this is India, and I'm just going about the point again, and I'll be going about very quickly because we don't have much time. We have two newspapers to cover. So this is a special economic zone. That is our water boundary. So much of water, that is the oceans, from our mainland is our territory, Indian territory, that is 200 nautical miles. But what happens when a country is in between? So we're having Sri Lanka. Okay, Sri Lanka turned out to be much more bigger. Okay, that's fine. So Sri Lanka comes before the special economic zone. So what you do in that such situation is that we can't say that okay, our line goes in between your country. So even your country belongs to us. We can't do that. So how much of distance that we have, divide it into two. So this is it. But the problem is that we have fishermen. Suppose in Kerala coast, the fishermen they have, they can travel up till here. The trawling they can have for fishing, for fish hunting, for everything they can travel up till here. But for the Tamil Nadu coast and the Andhra Pradesh, they can only travel up till here. And if they cross the boundary, they will be taken care, or they will be arrested by the coast guards of Sri Lanka. So this is happening for the past many years, and recently it's being very severe because sometimes storm comes, people get washed away by the ocean to the other side of the border. It's not that they're doing it on purpose, but it happens like that. So them arresting our Indian fishermen, we arresting their Indian fishermen. So just make a solution. Why we are doing this? We know that they are not terrorists, so just do something about it. So that's what being said over here. And the next one, next editorial is why the electoral reform bill is a problem. So this is written by an advocate. Okay, yes, this is written by a lawyer from Delhi, and she is saying that uh, Aadhaar, okay, we have government saying that just link the Aadhaar. It's not compulsion, just link it. It's not a mandatory procedure. But those who are linking will get special preference, but doesn't mean that the ones who don't have the Aadhaar link to your Aadhaar ID, you wouldn't, I mean, your voter's ID, you wouldn't get to vote. You could get to vote. So she's saying that this is something a tricky situation because central government is saying something, and the R2 voters voters ID. So she's saying that this is not something. Even though they are saying it's an optional one, it's not an optional one because then comes the issues of what to do if you don't have any Aadhaar, what should be furnished. So this is something which is up to the discretion of the union government. Okay, discretion of union government. So at the end, what happens? People will just link their Aadhaar to the voters ID because they have no other solution to it. So they do it anyway. And the other one is that it's actually a sort of like a political agenda. That is a political party agenda because they'll get access to the people of certain categories and certain categories, and they'll know that okay, who are target audiences, who are the ones that we should target in such a way, who are the audiences we should target in a way to give them subsidies for agriculture, who are those types of people who voted, who are from this background of below poverty line. So we should target in that sense. So linking your Aadhaar to your voter's ID will give the political party or whoever is in the power lots of information, lots of data about the ones who are voting and their preferences, and most importantly, all the information is related to it. So yes, there is a threat in it, but there's nothing that we can do about it because it's already being passed in the government and we have to do and we have to abide by it. Yes, I'm sorry if my speed is too much. It's just that I have two newspapers to cover and I have no intention to dragging this video to 1 hour, 1.5 hours. I'll try to make the video very short and clear so that you just watch the video in half an hour and then you will just read the newspaper. You'll get so much of understanding out of it. So that's why. And then next one is looking beyond the Forest Rights Act. So this is for the tribal people, especially for the Northeast, and this is something that people have their right to have the access to these tribal people's access to the forest, to the raw materials and everything else. So just read through. That's it. And next one is a marketplace for herd. This is again we discussed yesterday, I mean, day before yesterday, that index in terms of reporters were not very good. It was 142 out of 180. All right, 142 out of 180 for the press freedom. Press freedom. And out of 180 countries, our rank was 142, and that is a very bad rank. This is not the mark, this is a rank. Okay. So that is very bad, and the union government is totally against it. They're saying that's a baseless allegation. We don't have 142. It must be even more than that. So we don't know for that, and we are saying this because there is no proper space for dissent. Any comedy person who stands up and have a stand-up comedy and saying some remarks on it, they'll be arrested. They'll be given seditious act. They'll be marked with sedition, and even a silly social media post which doesn't make sense, people are scrutinized for that also. So it's so much of gatekeepers. So yes, this is something which is happening over here, and there is no other reason I should say that our rank fell off. It's because of that. Okay, so that is regarding that. And the next one is A for Assam and for Northeast. So this is regarding the APSA. If I'm sorry, my handwriting is like very bad. I know it. I'm just trying to get my handwriting better, but this magic slate doesn't help me either. So this is APSA, that is Armed Forces Special Act. So any place considered to be a dangerous area, there will be armed forces with the rifles, whatever weapons that they're using, and they have complete discretion, complete power of that place. And in Nagaland, some people died accidentally because of that, and they thought they were terrorists or infiltrators, and they shot on them and they died. So this is regarding that, and read through that. I wouldn't be explaining you today in much more elaborate way because we have time constraints. So for that reasons, I wouldn't be explaining so much. Maybe from tomorrow onwards because I only have one newspaper to cover each day. And then changes to marriage age will contradict other laws. Yes, there is a contradiction because first one is your Child Marriage Act. Okay, when the age from 18 to 21 is increased, the Child Marriage Act will be in contradiction because according to the Child Marriage Act, the anyone below 18, below 18 is considered to be a child. But now they have to change this to 21. Anyone below 21 years of age is considered to be a child, and whoever marries below the age of 21 will be arrested. Okay, that. And not just that, the other Hindu Marriage Act, Christian Marriage Act, Muslim Sharia Act, and Special Marriage Act, all these they have to change, they have to amend, change the age, change all these necessary arrangements, and then this will come in power. Okay. And like, this is a different news. It's actually a system for development. Women commandos to guard houses of Amit Shah and Gandhi. So it's a system for development, a new change, and it's a very good thing. It's a welcome change, and we are all happy with it. Next one. Okay, this one is all about political and political parties. Just skip that altogether. Page 9. Do not read it. It's not needed for you. But read news regarding your election, that is the election provisions, election changes, and your election commissioner giving out provisions. Such things just read through. That is important. But the other political parties and their snarky demands are not needed for you. Okay. Uh, Exam scan. Okay. That's it for yesterday's newspaper, and that is the world news. Okay. Chinese city of 13 millimeters lockdown. Okay, okay, okay. Now that important. Okay, so we are done with 23rd. Now we'll get on to the 24th newspaper. That is today's newspaper. Today is Christmas Eve, and happy Christmas to everyone. Okay, so the first news that we are starting with: explosion in Ludhiana court leaves 1 injured and 6 injured. I mean, 1 dead and 6 injured. So this is a terrorist attack, and we had something similar to it in 2001. This is a Supreme Court. I mean, this is a Ludhiana court, but that time it was Parliament. Okay, our Parliament was attacked, and it was by Lakshkari Taiba. It's a terrorist faction or terrorist outfit. It's by Lakshkari Taiba, and this time it was in Ludhiana court. So it's a political, I mean, more importantly, a government official or government office. Okay, so that is what. And first pages will be having something related to our internal security. So this comes under your internal security. So I really hope that you are not writing down today's date, 24 and 24/12, and then writing down one news, second news. Do not do that, okay? I told you, right, like previous dates, just make separate headings. Like today we discuss about internal security. What comes under it? Okay, just write down. Tomorrow we find something similar to internal security news, write down under that. So that later on, after few months, when you read it, you'll get total follow-up, you'll get an understanding. You're not making news just for the sake of, making notes. We are making notes so that we can, after a very long time, when you read it, you'll get an understanding of it. So that's why I asked you to make separate files or folders or separate headings at least on different categories. And then Haridwar hate speech. Okay, not important, not important. And then skip the pages of your city-based news, your regional-based news, and your state-based news, because that is not important. Just watch the news in your news channel. That will be enough. That will be sufficient. Everything else, just watch one time news. Okay, now to the editorials. This is regarding drawing a line, an attempt to repurpose the politics of JNK with elimination exercise bound to fail. So, JNK is a very sensitive issue. I think I'll just make a video, a pre-recorded video on the issues, political issues and administrative issues of JNK, because I don't think I'll be able to explain all that in a very short time, especially when I'm explaining the other news, and in between, I don't want to make it short. I'll be explaining that. Okay, in coming days, I'll be making a video of that. Next one is that needed a public health data architecture for India. So this is about national surveys and all. So we need much more coordinated, much more better arrangements to collect the samples and all these. That's written. Next one is clean cooking fuel plant needs more firing up. So this is regarding our India's challenge to get all these rural people to use the clean gas. What is that? LPG. And it's a very good initiative, that is them getting like we all know that in rural areas people use other kinds of fuels like woods and cow dungs. So these are not healthy fuels, that they emit lots of carbon monoxide, more importantly sulfur, and the other ones which are very harmful for the atmosphere and even for harmful for the people who are walking along with it. And we know that especially in rural areas, women are the one who will be using in the kitchen with these harmful gases or fuels, and this will be very much harmful for them, especially if they are pregnant or if they're with a child. So that is regarding that, and how far this is a challenge for our Indian government, how far we are to bridge the gap and make it more accessible to them. Our next page is about, do India needs insurance for bank deposits? That is not that important, but if you want, just read through it. The next one is perils of security reporting. This is very uh, it's important, especially for someone like me. I told you, right, do not collect information only for the basis of your civil service prelims and means. Look for informations if they're important even for your interview. Like, for example, I was a journalist before, I was a news reader before. So this is regarding reporting and news and regarding all those things. So I know that such questions will be asked to me when I go for the interview. So this is regarding our internal security. More importantly, very hard news, that is news regarding this is saying that one person, this is written by a reporter, he's saying that this particular news regarding terrorists killed and two terrorists killed and such things happen in the borders, what's happening, all these things was conveyed by a top official to these journalists, please report this news. And these people, since they don't have other means to verify or cross check the facts that they've received, but they thought, okay, this is received by a very top official, this is given by them, so there's no chance or no reason why the news will be wrong. So what happens, they'll be reporting the news, but after reporting the news, what happens, there is a claim saying that this news are false or not true. So there is a danger in it, and we can't delay the news, at least because the news, the meaning of news itself, to giving, all piping hot. We have to give it right now, right away. If we making a delay in it, there's no relevance to that news. So this is very important, and just read through that. Next page is a news page regarding your national important news. That is. For us, cow's mother, okay, that's not important. Father and son contesting in Goa election, that is also not important over here also. All related to the election news. Do not read election news and who is contesting in which constituency and who not. We are not seeking that. India seeks early return of democracy in Myanmar. So this comes under your topic of bilateral relations. Bilateral. So in Myanmar, what is it? Coup happened last year, and the army is taken over the government, but the people are not. The junta is not happy with it. So even we as a neighbor are saying that please restore democracy as soon as possible because that's the right way to govern anyone. And lot many people were killed by the government, and lot many people were taken as prisoners by the government. So this is not a democratical setup. So we are saying that. And rush to get Rajput ready for our day. Okay, okay. That means when Republic Day comes, we'll be reading that. Do not read news which are saying that expected to come or hoping to come by the next month. Because we don't know, they might change and they wouldn't change. Alright. Yeah. Now, Rajya Sabha counters Karge's comments. Okay, okay, that's not important. Not all Muslim opposes marriage bill. We don't know for sure, okay. Because not just for the Marriage Act. See, Uniform Civil Code. Civil code is something a high expected by our Indian democracy. We are uniform civil code is that all people they'll be giving one single law for each and every single person, but there are special provisions for Muslims. That is, they have age criterion and more importantly, how many people that they could marry, and polygamy, polyandry, and all the other things are there, and we are giving special provisions to them, and so the government has been, this union government has been trying to impose uniform civil code for the past many years, but that's not happening. So she is saying that Smriti Irani ji is saying that not all Muslims oppose marriage bill. I don't know, I'm not sure of it. But maybe, yeah, some people might be welcoming this act, but I don't know how far that is true. And then PM calls for high alert on Omicron. Yes. Please, everyone who's watching it, because right now we are on the verge of third phase or third wave. We don't know it's going to be a third wave or not because it's all up to us whether we want to make it to the third wave or not. Okay, next page is the world news. Okay, no need for that. Just read in the first line or the headline, and the first paragraph is enough. Now getting on to the business related news. India shares rise for a third day as Omicron fears recede. Okay. Uh, Always our stock market or anything falls down when there is a fear, like the cryptocurrency scare came, and people were running around frenzy to sell off their cryptocurrencies and all these things. But after few days and few weeks, we understood that okay, there's no much danger or perils over here. They're gonna bring out few restrictions, so that's okay. So everything came to normal. So same thing over here. At first, when they said that the government announced that a new variant has come here in India, people again started running around in frenzy. But now everything is intact. So yes, that's it for today's video, and I really hope you enjoyed. And yes, for regarding the time change of a newspaper analysis, people have been messaging me in WhatsApp saying that some people are from north, some people mostly from Delhi. For them, it's very cold over there, so they can't wake up at 7 o'clock and watch the 7:30 newspaper analysis. So just please change the timing. So from here onwards, our timing will be 10:30. 10:30 a.m. sharp. I'll be always doing with the newspaper analysis with 10:30 a.m. Today's class was a bit, just rushing through everything, so that I just wanted to make sure that I'll be discussing yesterday's and today's news together. That's why I was rushing. But tomorrow onwards, I'll be taking time and detail to explain that, because I'm having half an hour to explain one single newspaper. So that will be very much great. And thank you so much, everyone watching. And please be here at 10:30 sharp for the newspaper analysis. Thank you